First up was something that years ago I didn't think I would love, and I really was wrong. I love this blade. I've had Nessmuks in the past, and they're hit and miss. I've had Scandies, I've had flat grinds. This is one I love. This is an LT Wright MagnaCut version of a micro or mini Nessmuk. I do have it in a leather sheath. I've got the front pocket carry option on here from, I think that's, who is that? UltiClip? Yeah, UltiClip makes those. It's a relatively small blade for somebody with XL size gloves or hands. But for me, it's an EDC blade, and I really appreciate the Orange G10. No liners on this one. If I could go back, I probably still would get this one because it's a great hunting blade. I like the orange. It's a really simple knife, and it wasn't terribly expensive at the time. But I find that it is robust. It's very, very solid. I don't actually feel bad beating on this blade at all. And it slices incredibly well. It's not the thinnest blade, but because it's a full flat grind, it just seems to slice so well. So whether it's in hunting and small, fine tasks like a squirrel it'll probably skin up today, or in EDC tasks, cutting through cardboard, cutting up zip ties, there's just enough balance here that it's really easy to put away. I can package this thing in the front pocket or belt carry it. Incredibly easy. If you're a lanyard guy, it's got the loop for you. I just find it to be a very practical blade for all the kind of things that I do. I don't mind carrying this one, whether it's going to be a city day where I'm not doing a lot of things other than cutting up boxes and regular utility tasks, or if I'm going out in the woods. I don't mind transferring this one over, especially as a backup blade. It's a very regular, repeated option in my pocket. It might be one of the blades I carry the most, just because it's so friendly to strap up. It's easy to carry. I don't mind if I get nicks in the blade. I'm not going to treat it like a Safe Queen at all, and I can kind of hard use it or actually use it in something a little bit more fine, like a little bit of carving, a little bit of skinning. Just seems to cover the gamut so well, and I'm never going to lose this one because it's orange. There's an LT Wright option. I'll put that to the side. Here's another LT Wright option, which I usually carry this blade in that sheath if I'm going to carry it out on the town, and this is one that always gets a lot of love. This is the LT Wright pronghorn in double red micarta handles. Again, no liners on this particular one. I like the pronghorn design a lot because it gives enough for the handle that I can carve and whittle with it. It is a Scandi. This one happens to be an 01, which is why it has so much character on it. And I've used it for, I don't know, I've used it hard from the beginning, but I do protect the edge just a little bit. I've got a true Scandi edge on it, and I don't want to nick this one, so I won't use this against like a really hard piece of plastic or driving it, towards the dirt where it might have some gravel that will nick up the blade. I try to keep it relatively effective for carving so that I don't get gouges in the wood from weird nicks in the blade. Inevitably, this thing is going to go to crap at some point. It's an 01 steel. I treat it decently, but I'm gonna nick it up at some point, and I'll probably use it much harder at that point. Right now, it's a great backup carver. I do EDC it, especially in the woods, and I love this blade. I think it's one of the classiest blades that they make. Relatively affordable, relatively thin, and in the 01 version, you can get a lot of character on it, and it'll take a patina really, really well. Not usually in this sheath. Actually, this is the sheath that the Nessmuk came in. Just happen to have it in there for now. Moving on, another LT Wright. I forgot to say price point wise, I think everything so far is around the $200, maybe $115 price point. And then this guy, I think this was around $150 as well. This is the Bush Baby, and this one happens to be saber ground. I like the Bush Baby. The actual high carbon versions of these that are 1075, I don't think I would prefer. I like the A2 version. That's what this is right here. I believe this is A2 or maybe AEBL. It's one of those. They're very similar in my mind. You can see that I've got a slightly thinned profile. That's one modification I made because I use this as a carver. I use it as a bushcraft blade. If I'm going into the woods with this sheath and the fire steel, I belt carry it almost all the time. It's easy to throw into a pocket, but just being that it's got a much thicker handle and a little bit longer than some of the other options, but not by much, it's more natural to belt carry this one. It really fills the hand. Orange G10 liners with micarta, green micarta scales. I love this blade. And I actually find a lot of times when I don't need a bigger knife and I'm going into the woods, this one will do everything well. And it doesn't add a lot of extra weight. It's very comfortable in hand. It doesn't seem to give me hot spots. And normally I don't prefer a cutout or a choil at all, finger guard. I don't like that kind of thing very often. On this one, for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to bother me. So great job to LT Wright. There are 3 options that are, in 150 to 200 or so dollar price point. Now on to some much more affordable blades, very affordable. Let's start with this one. This is an old Double Forge brand sheath for a Mora Scout. As you can see here, this is one I found at a flea market. It had so much rust and black on it, you couldn't even tell what it was. Actually, the scales were destroyed. It was blood soaked, as you can see in the sheath. So I kind of cleaned it out, sanded it out, and put a Scandi back on it as much as it would take. The rust had eaten through a horrible amount of this guy. I just felt like, for whatever reason, because this was like the first blade that I used to skin a deer with, I wanted to get one of my own. This is a Bröderna Johnson Mora Sweden Mora knife. And the Scout is really cool. It's iconic. It's got the guards, which I don't prefer for any reason. But for a child, it does protect their hand. You can kind of see why this would be a great blade, or first blade, for a kid. Razor sharp now, old carbon steel. But man, does this thing cut well. And it's fun. I like to carry this around just sometimes. Most of the time, it's a little bit of a nostalgic thing for me rather than a really practical blade. But it's not that it's incapable. It does have a hammered pin tang on the end, so not quite full tang in the traditional sense, more of a rat tail. Still a sturdy blade after all these years, really pretty sturdy. Those can be had, I think I bought that for under $10 at like a garage sale or something, or a flea market. Typically you can get a modern one still for under 50 bucks. Then we're moving on to something that's probably even cheaper. This is the Mora Eldris. I did put an Otterman Outdoors accessory on here with the belt clip. Otterman was making these before Mora was making them. He was making these accessories, and he sent them out to the channel, so thank you to Otterman. This is the Mora Eldris. Again, it's like a 12C steel, something like that. Stainless, really easy to touch up. This one happens to be a dual grind. I think I like the dual grind for this accessory style, or utility style blade rather. I really like the red. I had a red kick for a while, so it seemed like every blade that I had was red. But it's really cool. It feels very good in the hand. It's hard to beat this handle with how gummy this is and then how durable this is. Even though it's not full tang, I definitely beat on this one. It is thin, it's slicey, and it works well for everything, other than it's not really pocket friendly. There's not a way to carry this really well in the pocket, just because in and out it clicks in so well that it would be hard to get this in and out of your pocket very easily. Even if I take off this exterior piece, I can drop this in the pocket, but it is a little bit thick. It's kind of like that LT Wright, this guy right here. It's kind of like this one, the Bush Baby, in that it has just a thicker profile, even though it's shorter. Love the blade, still highly recommended. You can get them for like 20, 25 bucks, somewhere around there. And there are full Scandi versions if you need that. Highly recommended, still love the Mora knives. Moving on, a blade that you probably haven't seen a huge amount of, but I do use it often and I like it. This is a Hella. This happens to be the anniversary model. It's got a sheath that is borderline worthless, but this limited version is really neat. You can see it's in there. Custom steel. The Fjorting is a classic design, usually just in some sort of birch burl, and they don't usually have this green dyed portion that's inside of it. I don't know how important that is. It just looks cool. It's a great classic knife. If you can tell in the handle design, the handle is really unique. It's a little bit thin, but it is broad, and then it's slightly squared off the top, the bottom, so it doesn't roll in your hand at all. It's kind of a neat little carver. It's not, in my opinion, much of a Scandi. It's a little bit Scandi Vex. So Hella seems to do a lot of stuff like that. I can start to see there's patina working in here. I'm not going to keep this as a Safe Queen at all. These tend to be around, I don't know, I think I've seen them going much higher now. They're like $170 or something like that. So it's kind of a choice purchase for most people, but it's so classic. It is really cool. And every time I bring this one out, people always have something to say. With a rat tail tang design, kind of hammered and pinned in there. No, I'm not going to beat on this very hard. It's more of a carver, maybe a little bit of fish work and food as well. Certainly up to the task of EDC work, but you will nick out that blade if you're not careful. And so this is not going to be something that I will run into grimy stuff, pine resin, or into any sort of gravel material, because this one I try to keep slightly nicer. Again, it's a Scandi, and since I use it for carving, I want nice clean cuts. Cool blade, really like it. That one gets a lot of attention every time I bring it out. Like I said, people always comment on it, they want to see it, and it's just unique. It stands out against the rest of the blades here. Moving on, another blade that's going to be something you guys haven't seen in a while. This is a custom sheath that I had. I think this is from Rattlesnake Designs on eBay. I do have the Ulti-Clip up front, and it's just a simple cold steel mini Pendleton Hunter. This one happens to be in the AUS 10. I know that they have 3V versions, but the AUS 10 is really easy to work with. They're cheap. I want to say it's like $25 or something like that at this point. It cuts super well. It does skin really well, and I EDC it. I will run this into anything. I don't care what happens to the edge. I'll nick it up and strop it, and most of the time it kind of comes back. It's an easy blade to work with. The gummy texture is nice, and it carries extremely well inside of this sheath. The original sheath was not preferable to me, but this sheath from Rattlesnake is pretty good. It does have a slight guard on there, so you're not going to worry about finding a gut cavity and having your hands slide up, anything like that. It's just a very small blade overall. All of these are relatively small, except for the last one that I'll bring out. EDC is friendly, doesn't scare people away, relatively thin, and super robust. These are tough knives. I've had actually 2 of these, and I've never had one snap or break. I really don't see too much for gouges in them. And if you needed a superior steel, you could get the 3V version, and it would be very similar to this. Looks like about a 4-finger knife for me, which is impressive. With such a small blade that's easy to pack away, very thin, somehow it remains comfortable, robust, and slicey. Full flat grind on that guy as well. And moving on to something that's probably the most, or second most maybe, expensive blade in this list. This is a Bark River. This is their Little Creek. And the Little Creek design comes in so many variations, it's outrageous. I don't know how Bark River produces so many blades. It's a tiny, tiny blade. You can see that it is a 3-finger blade for me, just 3-finger. It's actually reasonably comfortable for the tasks that I give it. I'm not going to use this for anything other than an EDC or a backup in the woods. It's never going to be my primary blade in the woods, but when it comes to skinning out small game or even dispatching small game, sometimes cutting up stuff in the kitchen or oranges or apples, it does the trick. It's slightly thick. I do have the Kudu knife handles, which are really cool. I think it's probably the most aesthetically pleasing blade that I own. Really unique. You're not going to find another one like this. I think the Kudu knife handles are extremely rare, and it's extremely expensive. If you want to buy one of these, they tend to be over $300, maybe closer to $325 for something like this. And it is in MagnaCut. MagnaCut is just the blade steel of choice for a lot of makers. I don't have to have it, but it does pretty well. Very thin contour handle, slight guard right there. A little bit thicker than some people would like, but I find that for a very little blade like this, it does very good. I can make notches with it, tent pegs, normal camp craft, and then EDC tasks. Yeah, I guess I beat this one up a little bit, but it's just a pretty knife, we'll call it. There's the leather sheath. You definitely could make a front pocket carry option on here. It's just a tight sheath, and that's a thing with Bark River. They tend to be really tight sheaths, and so you'd have a hard time getting in and out of the sheath for a while. Have to kind of break it in. Most people seem to wet form them. You've got 4 eyelets on there and a belt carry option. Almost always I will carry this belt carry if I don't have a gun in the way. Moving on from there, I have a blade that I think was one of the best of this last year. I'm carrying it in one of the LT sheaths. It actually goes to one of those blades, but this is the Reef Knives Rangecraft. This is a G10 orange and black handle version. This is also in, you guessed it, MagnaCut. Again, I haven't really chosen that. It's mostly the knife makers themselves making so much MagnaCut blades, so many MagnaCut blades. This one, it has just the right jimping. It's so practical. It's got insane shearing power. This is the best skinning knife that I personally own for all-around skinning. I do have some Buck blades that are like the Buck Packlight kit, and those are phenomenal as well. But this, I just love because I can EDC it. It's so friendly. I get a full 4-finger grip on there. It's comfortable. It's got this textured pyramid pattern all the way around. There's nothing about a Reef knife that doesn't have attention to detail. Everything about them seems very high in the quality control department. They're practical, and it just works well as a knife. It cuts, it stabs, it shears, it does all those things well. And this one, I don't really protect this blade. I use it like an EDC blade. I use it hard, and it's still holding up a nice edge. It is quite thin. I've batoned with it. I've split wood. I've cross batoned with it. I have cut into bones on accident, cut through bones on rabbit, actually. And I just love this. I did skin up a deer with it, cut quite a few quarters of meat with just this guy right here, and I love it. This is a highly recommended blade. This one is going to be somewhere around the $200 to $300 price point as well, and I think it's worth it. Not very common. You're going to see very few people who have this, but everybody who has it probably loves it. Now that you guys have waited, let's move on to the very last blade. What am I carrying right now in my pocket? Well, right now I'm carrying in my pocket, actually, the sheath that the Reef Knives comes in was this one originally. You can see the Reef Knives logo on the back. I did put a front pocket carry option with the Ulti-Clip on there. And this is a Cypress Creek. This is one of their customs. I can't remember the model. There's not text on the blade itself, but I've got yellow, I think it's yellow G10 and then natural G10. And I don't exactly know what the handles are. It's an S90V blade from what I'm told from the buyer. I think this was a factory second at one point that went for a little bit less money, but it's an incredibly sharp blade. I love this one. It is the biggest. It's the longest out of all the blades represented here, just by a little bit, just a touch longer than that Reef Knives. Overall, it doesn't have as long of a blade, but it shears really well. It's good for the woods, it's good for skinning, it's good for EDC, although it's a touch on the big side for most people. You can see how big that handle actually is. But it's a beautiful blade, and the ergonomics are fantastic. I don't have another blade with ergonomics that are quite like this. So it seems to fit well. It streamlines in my pocket well enough that I will keep carrying it as an EDC, but it's probably about as big of an EDC as I care to have, with a blade length of about 2.5 inches. I think that's what we're at right here, about 2.25, 2.5, somewhere in there. It's very, very practical for the woods. It's practical for the kitchen. And with that thickness, I know originally I was thinking, man, that's a touch thick, but it's a full flat grind, and it does, well, technically it's maybe a kind of a dual grind, slight saber. I don't know what you would want to call that, but it's pretty close to a flat grind, and it just comes down to a hair popping edge now that I've touched it up, sharpened it, stropped it. And the S90V is pretty good steel. So that's what I have. These are blades that I can recommend and that I personally carry very often. My question for you guys is, if you could only pick one of these blades to EDC for the rest of your life, there's only one, which one of these blades would you pick to EDC and why? Go ahead and comment that down below.